Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and we've got a couple of stories this morning that I'm going to do before we do the Gene Freeman one. And it's simply because the early stories tend not to get as many views. And I think the Freeman one deserves more than if I put it out first. So bear with me, we will be getting to it, but I'm just going to put a few stories up earlier, then we'll get to them around lunchtime. We'll do the Freeman one, because obviously you all want to know about that, don't you? But this first one, whilst not the big story, not the Freeman story of the day, it's nonetheless, I think, interesting. And it seems to be that the SNP seem to be deliberately hobbling, or even you may even say are complicit in the deliberate destruction of the high street. They've not been forcing staff who work for the government to come back into the office. This has a devastating effect on the number of people going into cities and town centres, and therefore reducing the footfall, for the shops and bars and restaurants and things in that area. And of course, that will then create major problems going down the line with these businesses struggling, of course, to keep going. But it gets even worse than that when you now see that they're about to permit work from Hammock for up to a month a year. You can go abroad, sit, in a foreign country and do your job, fully paid, spending money in a foreign country as part of your job. It's absolutely crazy. Let's take a look. So the Scottish Government has told staff that they can work from abroad for a month every year. And it's unpoliceable, and you'll see why in a minute. I'll go through it, but you'll understand that basically there's very little stopping you from living abroad and doing your work from abroad. The SNP executive has been slated for allowing its taxpayer-funded employees to work from the beach for a maximum of a month a year. It says 12 months, they mean a month. With fears that this is causing a lack of footfall in Scotland's town and city centres. And that puts a great strain on businesses that rely on office workers. So, your corner sandwich shops and, sort of coffee shops, things like that rely on people coming out at lunchtime, having a coffee, a bite to eat, and things like that. If you're in an area where there's a lot of government employees, then that's going to seriously affect your trade, your business. It could increase unemployment. It could even cost you the business. And rather than support these businesses, rather than getting people back in the office, where work actually happens, where meetings happen, where ideas can be bounced around. No. We want everyone to stay out of the office. Close the offices then. Sell the offices. You don't need them. Amalgamate them. If you're only having people in 20% of the time, or whatever it is, amalgamate them. Amalgamate the offices. Close them all down. Think of the money you could save. But they're not. They're doing the worst of all possible worlds. They're keeping people away. So there's this lack of inter-office communication. And they're still paying for all these expensive offices. Not only just paying to have them, paying to power them, to heat them. And they're 3/4 empty all the time. It's crazy. The Scottish Government has been blasted after it was revealed that it told civil servants that they would be allowed to work from abroad for up to a month every year. And it refused to follow the UK government in telling staff members to work from the office at least 60% of the time. Because of course it's going to not do what the rest of the UK do. Because, hey, we've got to be different. We've got to cause grievance. We've got to show that we are the SNP and we're an independent Scotland. Even though it's going to absolutely damage massively the towns and cities of Scotland. Scots pen pushers have been issued guidance which states that most roles are suitable for hybrid working, which is a mix of home and office-based hours. As part of this edict, employees have been told they may be allowed to log in from overseas for a maximum of 4 weeks annually. Does anybody see the problem here? Does anyone see it? I'm sure you do. I'm sure there's people out there now who are going, but. And yes, you're right, but. We previously told how the SNP executive had been slated after allowing 32 of its bureaucrats to work from Europe and the rest of the world for personal reasons. If they have personal reasons that stops them coming into the office, they should resign, sort out their personal problems, and then find another job. I would suggest that if you cannot make it into the office 3 days a week, then you're no longer required. How's that? We can easily find someone who can come into the office. And all you have to do is, once you've fired them for being unable to attend the office, is to advertise the job and say it is office-based. There is no hybrid working. The Scottish Daily Mail reports that the new policy document was published in April 2023, outlining guidance for hybrid working. And it states that working from abroad cannot be supported unless there's a genuine requirement to do so, but that short-term requests may be possible if an application form is completed and approved. Has anyone seen the way around this? I have. Straight away I saw it, simply by the wording they used. It adds the maximum period supported in these circumstances is 4 weeks in a rolling 12-month period. It also says that most of our roles in core Scottish Government are suited to hybrid working. So it's saying you must log on from, you can only log on from abroad 4 weeks in any 12-month period. A VPN? Put your VPN on your laptop and then choose where you're logging in from. So you can be sitting on a beach in, the Caribbean, swinging in your hammock, sipping your rum, and you just go on VPN, boom, 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 Glasgow, and so you're logging in from Glasgow. And as far as the computer at work is concerned, oh yes, no, that's a Glasgow address. That's fine. He's counted as being in Scotland. You could live your entire life swinging in your hammock, pretending that you're in the Gorbals. It's unbelievable, isn't it? This is one of those things where politicians think it sounds good, but politicians got no understanding of technology. How can they possibly police where you physically are? They can only police where you're logging in from by looking at the login address. But using a VPN, you can be logging in from anywhere in the world. I frequently do. I frequently sit here, and I can log in, and I'll go in, and I'll go into an Australian one to see what's on Australian Netflix, or American one to see what's on American Netflix, and things like that. I go into different places, different locations. Sometimes you get different news. There's stories that are banned in the EU because of the EU's rules. Log into a different place. The other thing I noticed as well is if you log in from the US, you don't keep getting all those cookie notifications. It's very nice. So, do they not understand people have VPN on their computers? Who knows? Anyway, the UK government introduced a new policy last year which urged staff to spend at least 60% of their working time face-to-face in the office, and with this also applying to staff members working in Scotland. But SNP ministers have refused to follow suit, despite concerns about the negative impact in the country's town centres, which can be reliant on trade from office workers, which we say it will put some to the wall. Murdo Fraser, Scottish Conservative business spokesman, said as much as working from home has its benefits for many people, it's not without its cost to both employers and the wider economy. The pandemic forced many of us from full-time office working to working from home full-time. We now need to find a balance between the two extremes. I think 60% is fine. 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. You can switch around and, moderate the options for people. But, that's fine. That's fine. Do that. My sister does it. She does 3 in the office, 2 at home. And Tuesdays and Fridays, I think it's Tuesdays and Fridays from home. And she said the Friday from home is the best one because she finishes at 5. And, oh, look, she's home. So she has an early Friday. She loves it. But she doesn't mind going in 3 out of the 5 days. Fine. I work from home. It's great. More must be done by the Scottish Government to tackle the knock-on effects that working from home have on city and town centre economies, where businesses rely on footfall from the office workers. This was Murdo Fraser continuing. And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Ideas sometimes bounce off people. You're reading this, someone sees someone doing it, so you do that, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then an idea forms, and bang, you have this idea, and somebody can, that's a great idea. Oh, let's try and do that. And it can push things in a whole new direction. Because you have that spark. But when you're sitting alone, tapping on a keyboard, well, that's when you're not sipping your tea, scratching your arse, thinking about what you're going to have for lunch. Because you've got no oversight, do you? Let's be honest. You don't work as efficiently on your own at home as you do in the office when people are watching. Was that just me? No, it wasn't just me. I always worked hard. Always. Never, ever a moment when I wasn't working to my fullest capacity. But, you lose that. You lose that inter-office thing. And I've noticed it's a completely different environment, and you don't necessarily... It's not necessarily better or worse. It's different. But I think you absolutely need office work. And I think the 60% is about right. It creates a bond, I think. But anyway, what do you know? But to allow these people effectively permanent working from Hammock, that's a job, isn't it? Is wrong. If they want to do that, fine, they do it. They can't be, unless they can come into the office 3 days a week, it shouldn't be allowed. Anyway, I should stop there, come up, and round off. The thing is, before this decision was made, surely somebody would have said about the effects on the high street, on these little businesses. And having been told that, they still proceeded with it. It means that they are deliberately harming businesses. They must know that. And they're doing so not because they care about people, they don't want to care about the employees. They're doing it simply so that they can be different from England. Making people impoverished, destroying businesses, putting people onto the dole, creating misery, all so they can push their agenda of difference and hate. They're a very strange organisation, the SNP. Very strange indeed. It's almost as though they want to harm every single aspect of the Scottish economy. But hey-ho. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I shall speak to you later. Bye.